we've got to run, but when you look at the latest Quinnipiac poll of swing states,
and unfortunately sometimes having thoughts of suicide, this is all too common, and it is largely overlooked in the medical field and in the general public. The awareness of it is very low.
So why, if it's so common, is it overlooked by medical professionals who are dealing with this on a, if you say, a common basis?
First of all, it's the way we're trained in medicine. There are highly skilled psychiatrists and psychologists in Colorado and in the United States, of course, but they go through a different pathway of training right out of medical school than do surgeons and cardiologists and primary care physicians. And if you don't specifically train in that area, you aren't necessarily seeing it under your purview of what you do in medicine, and you don't necessarily go look for it. And the sad part of that is that screening for depression is so straightforward and simple. Treating it can be very effective. And what we need to do is break down those silos, and then we need more.
Death toll could rise. Hostilities between the army and Kurdish militants resumed last year after peace talks collapsed. The latest attacks, which claimed the lives of civilians as well as police and soldiers, is likely to generate a harsh response from the military. Peter Kenyon, NPR News.
There's a new symbol of civilian suffering from Aleppo, Syria. A Syrian boy has been filmed sitting in an ambulance covered in dust and blood. NPR's Allison Muse reports the UN Special Envoy for Syria today cut short a meeting on stalled relief aid deliveries and is calling on the U.S. and Russia to help halt the Syrian fighting.
Activist footage from Aleppo shows rescuers handing down a little boy from a building in the dark of night. The scene is chaotic as rescuers armed with flashlights respond to an alleged airstrike on the rebel-held side of the city. The boy, covered in dust, is carried to a waiting ambulance. Activists film him sitting alone, in a daze. He wipes his forehead and, realizing it's covered in blood, quickly wipes it on his orange seat. Moments later, he's joined by another little girl and boy. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says such airstrikes killed 4 civilians in Aleppo City over the past day. Rebel shelling killed 10 civilians, including 2 children. Allison Muse, NPR News, Beirut.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials are down about 2 points at 18,571. You're listening to NPR.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include The Film Arcade with Don't Think Twice, a comedy about the cost of chasing dreams. From Mike Birbiglia, the director of Sleepwalk With Me, and Ira Glass, the creator of This American Life. Starring Keegan-Michael Key and Mike Birbiglia. Now playing.
This is Colorado Public Radio News. I'm Mike Lang. The troubled Commerce City Police Department is opening itself to a federal review. Voluntary move comes after a string of high-profile misconduct cases. CPR's Ben Marcus reports.
Standing next to Department of Justice officials, Commerce City's Police Chief Lowell Richardson stepped to the press conference podium and struck an optimistic tone.
Today is a monumental day for the City of Commerce City and the Commerce City Police Department.
The Department of Justice will conduct a multi-year holistic review of the police force and eventually offer recommendations for reform. Richardson says police officials and city leaders asked for federal help after several incidents made headlines. In particular, an officer who sexually assaulted women during traffic stops